elected with 30.
With the,
You can't quarter people in your house. That's the only one.
so that's really the goal, as far as I'm concerned, is to see the restoration of the Bill of Rights. And as far as our jury system, it is still the best. We are somewhat limited by, he's talking about peremptory challenges. Yes, there's a reason for peremptory challenges. And
tell me about the tobacco industry, which is a legal industry, and which libertarians ought to defend in the sense that you always select, and there's a principle, there's a moral principle involved here, and that is that the most base and abused of the possible targets is the one worthy of your defense. It's like analogous to the Christian principle of the teachings of Christ, the lowest shall be brought high and the rest. The tobacco industry and the gun industry. The trial lawyers have made them their targets. They seek to destroy both industries for their own greater profit and glory. There is no ambiguity about that, no question about that, is there?
I don't see how you can choose I think it's the people behind that hire the attorneys.
No,
don't kill the messenger. Don't kill the messenger.
It's not that, respectfully I disagree, it's the trial lawyers and their recognition of the profit center in the tobacco industry that has made that industry the target. And that industry, ironically, unprecedented in American history, has arrogated to itself the power to tax the poorest people in the nation.
True.
What kind of madness is that? Now there is an example, it seems to me, of the unchecked power of the trial lawyers' lobby, or whatever the proper term is, that is cause for real concern and suggests a shift of power away even from traditional units of government into a previously unclassified new category. Trial lawyers. Trial lawyers are now part of the equation of government itself. What madness is that? On the other hand, if I understand the whole business of settling disputes and the pure libertarian state of some distant future, the one you will rely on ultimately is the trial lawyer, because all these other cops and interveners and pests and regulators will have vanished from the scene, having blown away in their own. Sorry, go ahead.
I'd like to speak to that, but I also, in your program, oftentimes you have to cut away for a commercial.
Yeah.
And as treasurer, I have to do that.
We'll be back after this message.
The custom of our group is to pass a basket. This is not to pay for your meal, and Darlene will really appreciate if everybody takes care of that with her. But this is to help the party to be able to send out mailings when we have these quick type of meetings to get information out to people. So this is just a voluntary offering. Anybody who would like to contribute, put in the basket. David, one of the things that many people in the Libertarian movement are trying to do is the fully informed jury idea, in that oftentimes the jurors are instructed that they're only, they have to abide by whatever the law says, and they're not there to judge the law, only the facts of the case.
Right.
And so that there have been situations where the jurors afterwards, thought they had no choice but to award what they awarded or to find what they found,
right,
because of the instructions of the judge.
Because they didn't know, for example, the guy was drunk.
Yeah.
And a few other things like that.
So from our vantage point, having a fully informed jury and having a populace that is aware of what individual rights are and what property rights are, etc., would help this. It's not going to make it perfect. No system that we have will make it perfect, however. Utopia is not an option. So I guess I'm willing to live with some of the excesses that might occur. Waiting for that day that we have an electorate and a populace that when you can pick 12 people, you'll get a good answer. I'm hoping for that day.
And keep in mind that the juries and the trial lawyers will only be arguing over the application of just laws, which will make a huge difference.
Okay.
What about loser pay?
Oh, okay.
What's my opinion of loser pay? I think it's great. Loser pays is already a law, I believe, in Britain. And several other.
You think that would solve the problem, or would help us solve it?
It would help us solve the problem, certainly, absolutely. A spurious and frivolous lawsuit, certainly. How do you dismantle the regulatory and pseudo-civil rights apparatus of this current nanny state? Like ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. Now, there may be good things to say about it, and maybe I'm operating out of a very, very hampered perspective, because I don't know what it's like to be disabled, and I don't know how much of a boon it's been, and I suppose you can make a tremendous argument for it. But the notion that businesses have to be forced into contortions with enormous complexity, that the law itself is so poorly drawn that people with notional, imaginary, pseudo-crank complaints of every conceivable kind receive compensation for their disability, can sue entities like school systems and so on for discrimination, and require the spending of millions of dollars, billions of dollars in the aggregate, strikes me as a dreadful result. Yes, sir.
Well, one of the things that happens is people don't realize that there are costs to anything that we do. We had this tragedy this past week. I don't know the details, but it seems to me that the professor from Wayne State was probably very much like me, mission focused, worrying about what he's getting due. If he had had his baby on the front seat, he probably wouldn't have left the kid in the car. But because the law says you got to have him in the back seat, this terrible situation happens. Maybe it would have. Maybe again, who knows? You never know what.
You're right in the sense that the threat that connects logically is the law of unforeseen consequences, which attends all of these bright and shiny central government undertakings. Everything they touch, on a certain level, turns to shit. Not entirely, but it is this inevitable unknown quality which is there in all of these all-encompassing and sweeping regulatory measures.
I'm Dick Gox from the Oakland County contingent. When you were discussing a fully informed jury with Ben, do you think that he meant they should be fully informed of all the facts, like the driver was drunk? Because that isn't what fully informed is meant to be.
Tell me more.
They should be informed that they have the right to judge the law. And if they feel that throwing an 18-year-old in jail for life because he has...
Yes, it's been described to me as a sort of analogous undertaking to jury nullification, that it's on its way to being jury nullification.
Right.
And in fact, there's a guy who frequently calls us. He's got but one note, and sometimes he doesn't get on the air. Who tends to want to return everything to the fully informed jury movement and jury nullification. Yes, I'm aware that it's about essentially jury nullification.
Whereas a judge, when a jury goes into deliberation, the judge says, you will interpret the law in some ways as I tell you to. That's the Constitution right there.
Right.
I think that's the biggest threat to the judicial system itself, the arrogance that they have.
Dave,
Yes, sir.
have you had a chance to read Harry Brown's book, Why Government Doesn't Work? Harry Brown was our presidential candidate last go-around.
Right.
He wrote a book, Why Government Does Not Work. Essentially, yeah, that book answers all those questions you just gave us today. He really has all-encompassing program how we can accomplish it. Essentially, what he says is we got to get the government out of our business. We reduce our government back to where it was 150, 200 years ago before Lincoln, way longer.
I've got a question for Jim, this gentleman, about jury nullification. Seems to me the most famous example of jury nullification, it's a pretty ugly one, is O.J. Simpson.